Lepore, another guy I wanted to bring up here, Brady Tkachuk.
Yes.
Who still hasn't signed an extension with the Ottawa Senators coming off of his entry-level deal. And Elliot Friedman threw out a nugget in that same article where he was mentioning Ilya Mikheyev and some Jack Eichel stuff. He was saying that it looks like the Senators are targeting an 8x8 type contract. So the same one that they gave Thomas Chabot. What are your thoughts on that? Because I actually think that would be a massive overpay for Brady Tkachuk if they signed him to an 8-year deal for $8 million per.
I think the Sens would take that deal right now. Like
really,
right now. Like if someone said Tkachuk came in at 8x8, I think they get it done. This city, and I say this city because everyone knows I'm from Ottawa, has had a hard time hanging on to players. Tkachuk's a Tkachuk. He's American, his agent's his uncle. So they're going to be firm. They know the value. They know his value. They know the market. A lot of people think he's going to be captain if he signs long-term. So if you're paying your captain, if you're overpaying your captain by whatever, people would debate as an overpay to get him locked in for a long time. I don't think it's that big of a deal. See, I personally think if it's a long-term deal, he wants more. I just, where I see this going is something similar to his brother. The parties are going to agree on like a 3-year, 7-point-something million deal. And then Ottawa will be in this situation again in a few years. And then as far as the Brady Tkachuk camp goes, they get a chance to score big in 3 years. Like if we've learned anything from the last few years in the National Hockey League with these young kids, these RFAs, they're not afraid to sign those short-term deals. Like that old school thing of like getting locked up, getting the security. No, these guys are confident that like they just look around the league and everyone's getting paid big money, and a lot of star players or big names are getting overpaid. So I think the kids are okay with it. I think the agents are okay with it. So it'll be interesting to see like what happens there. Like you kind of had a weird reaction when I said the Sens would take it right away, like 8x8. If you're Ottawa, you wouldn't touch that.
I think it's an overpay. I totally get where you're coming from because this is a team that has obviously had a very hard time hanging on to, let's call it quote unquote star level players.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Brady Tkachuk is in that, range or in that tier yet. I mean, one guy that I could kind of see as a comparable, and obviously this dude is like, 7, 8 years older than him, but is Gabriel Landeskog. Kind of like a similar profile, right? How they play like a similar type game. They're both wingers. They score goals. They're physical. But like, if you had to look down the road, because Gabriel Landeskog, I think is a hell of a player.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And do you think that Brady Tkachuk will one day be better than Gabriel Landeskog? Like, do you think he's going to be the same type of player? So the reason I bring him up is because like Gabriel Landeskog is a really good player, but he's not like your franchise guy.
Like I say before, like franchise changing players. Yeah.
So that's why I would hesitate a little bit, just because I do think that would be an overpay. But then again, you look at the Senators salary cap situation, they don't really have any big money committed to anyone outside of Thomas Chabot. And I know we've talked about Matt Murray, who that contract's not looking very good right now. What is it? $6.25 million.
Yeah, Zaitsev to Colin
and
White.
Zaitsev.
They got it. Go ahead, Bruno. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but for the most part, like they're not in like a situation where they're already paying like multiple players like these big money contracts, right? So they do have room to sign him to a contract like this, and then it not looking terrible.
Yeah,
for lack of a better term.
Where it gets tough with Ottawa, and I was saying this to a buddy of mine who's a big Sens fan, is that like they have to sign Norris next year. And like I love Josh Norris. Like he's a great player. And I was actually kind of surprised. I have to go over the list again, but that he didn't get more consideration for the Calder. So like they got to sign him. Like he's a pure scorer. And then they're gonna have to sign Stützle eventually. And like
that's
we talk
the
about
guy, right? That's the guy that I would give big money to.
So and that was my point. Like you say you sign Norris to whatever, and Tkachuk signed and Chabot signed, and then say Stützle. Like as far as ceilings go, I think everyone would agree that he's the guy with the highest ceiling. Like if someone told you Stützle's gonna be like a 35, 40 goal scorer, it'd be like, okay, like you watch that guy's talent, it's totally believable. So if Tkachuk gets 8, say now on a long-term deal, and Stützle is at the negotiating table a year from now, and he is a big season, showing more talent, what do you sign him for? It's like now you're getting into like among the highest paid players in the league. Like if this kid has a great year, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out for the Senators and this Tkachuk deal. One thing someone brought up, and back to the offer sheet thing, could Tkachuk be a target of an offer sheet? And like we saw with this Kotkaniemi thing, even a 1 year. Like if someone throws 1 year, 10 million at the kid just to get him. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, he's like we said, there's debate over whether he's worth 8 million, let alone 10 million. But if it's for the 1 year and if it gets you the player, and if you're Ottawa, you get the 4 first-round picks, like at that price, at 10 million, you would get that, right? Or it's like in and around there, like 3.
Yeah, I think it's like a shade over 10 million. You get 4 first-round draft picks.
And
I'd have to look at the compensation.
You'd get like 3 in a second or whatever it is. It changes all the time based on like the salary cap. But yeah, so I don't want to see that happen for the kid. Like I want to see him stay in Ottawa, stay in a Canadian market. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see if a team's willing to do that or to see what they agree to. And then to see if they have to deal with this in a couple of years. Because then again, like what happens? Like what if he signs a 3-year deal and then Stützle signs long-term? And then like, what do you give Tkachuk at that point? Or then what if Stützle wants to sign short-term? And then you have both of them in similar situations again. It's like, or even Norris, man, like Pierre Dorian, who just got extended, God bless him. He's got a lot of work to do and a lot of number crunching to do.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky situation with all those young guys under contract right now and just seeing how they're going to develop over the next few years and how much money is going to go to each of these guys. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think Stützle is the guy that you have to circle as, okay, he's like our potential franchise player and he's going to get the most money. But like you said, Lepore, I think we are headed to kind of down the same path as Matthew Tkachuk with this Brady Tkachuk situation. I think he probably will end up signing a bridge deal. And then, you know, depending on how he performs after that, then sign his long-term contract. I guess kind of similar to Braden Point. Now, let me say, Braden Point, I think, is a hell of a lot better than Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah.
But he signed, you know, that 3-year bridge deal where everyone was like, what the hell?
What? Yeah.
Braden Point's coming off a 40-goal season and he signs this like $6.5 million bridge deal or whatever it was. And I mean, now he's obviously cashed in and he's making, you know, over $9 million. But yeah, that's a situation we will definitely have to track as training camp draws near.
At the end of the day for Ottawa, like this is the hard part now. Like you see fan bases, and I'm not criticizing anyone. It's the same for the captain of the Leafs, where you have all these young kids. They're all in entry-level deals. You have all these prospects and picks, and you're all excited. And then all of a sudden you have to sign them all. And then that's where you got to put on your work boots, man. Because it's like tearing something down is not hard. Like tearing something down, getting assets and finishing near the bottom of the standings to
that's
get high
the easy
picks.
part.
That's the easy part. Anyone can do that. It's who can maneuver it better when those kids start playing well and they start to get paychecks.
Yeah, going to be some tough decisions for Pierre Dorion moving forward with this Ottawa Senators team.